As one of the biggest and most influential metal styles, we've tried our best to make sense of the monstrosity that is death metal. We've hosted debates on essential death metal bands and albums, and to our heavy metal family tree, we've added melodic death, deathcore, death doom, and tech death. Now it's time to add what might be the most extreme style of death metal yet. You asked for it, so you're getting it. This week on Lock Horns, it's a debate on the essential bands of brutal death metal.
What's going on? Welcome back to Lock Horns, BangerTV's live heavy metal debate show. If you're watching us in the archive right now, make sure you tune in live. We do this all the time. We want you to be involved with your comments. Join in the party. Right before we left for break for Christmas, we asked you what you wanted to see us do next. What subgenre of a subgenre should we tackle for you? And by overwhelming popular demand, we're talking brutal death metal today. And to help me through a day full of blast beats is death metal head and all-around cool guy, Cannibal Cam. What's going on,
buddy?
Dude?
How are you, man?
Not too bad. How you been, dude?
Pleasures. Glad to come on and discuss this insane genre.
Well, let's get to it, man. Tell me a little bit about why you are into brutal death metal.
Probably because I was so close to the border, living in Niagara Falls and everything like that. So going over to the Buffalo shows and everything, and hitting up a few of the local record shops over there. Eventually, I got to the point where it was just like, okay, what is this crazy logo? What is this going on? And then thought I'd bring some stuff, right? That was like the first death metal show that I ever went to over in Niagara Falls, New York. And right after that, changed my life. That was it. I just wanted to hear growls and blast beats and breakdowns and all that fun gurgles.
And you are working on a documentary, I understand?
Yes, indeed. It's called the Growl, death metal documentary, and it's more or less a passion project than anything. It's like I said, huge death metal fan. Oh, yeah, exactly, right? You got to do what you love, right? So, yeah, I want to start it from the beginnings, tape trading, zines, artwork, all the old labels and distros back in the day, all the way up until now, and just what's going on, the cool labels, what's underground, the giant fests that are happening everywhere. It's just death metal. I just love it. I don't know what it is. Just that growl.
Well, I'm hyped that you're here with us today, and I'm even more hyped that we've got a really excited live audience with us today.
They're losing it.
The chat is going crazy. This is going to be a good one. So here's how this works. We're talking essential brutal death metal bands. We want your well-articulated statements and opinions on these bands and their whole catalogs. We're not focusing on albums today. And of course, joining us in the live chat is a myriad of people from all over the US, of course, Louisiana, California, Tejas, South Carolina, North Carolina, Kentucky, Tennessee, Illinois, internationally, Germany, Portugal, Mexico, Poland, India, England, Russia, Bulgaria, Sweden, Romania, Switzerland, Finland, Australia, and Dubai.
Wow.
And just a couple people right down the street. We got some people from Newington, Ontario, Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Edmonton, Alberta.
Nice.
It's gonna be
wow.
a good day. We got a great team in the live chat, and we got a wicked team here in the studio, which leads me to our producer, Lisa Ladiseur.
That's me, still here. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, Lisa.
Woo!
How's your New Year?
It's good. I'm still alive. Can't complain. I made it through. Happy to be back here with you guys in the live chat with some brand new tools to get your voices on the show. The last time we were together was really frustrating, I think, for a lot of people trying to do that 2017 best of albums. It was crazy in the chat. So we are now using the YouTube poll system. I'm going to type it into the chat right now. I'm doing it. Boom. Go there, and then you can actually vote on the legend, on what newer band should be in. Maybe there'll be some polls that come up as the show goes along. This will be an easier way for you to just say yes or no and get your votes in there, even if your English isn't great. But we do hope you still leave lots of great comments in the chat. It's just another tool for us to make sure that the bands that end up here at the end reflect what's going on with the Lock Horns viewers. And I'm going to have to cowbell myself because I've been talking too long.
You've got a crazy gig today. You're going to be reading poll results and live comments as they happen. This is going to be interesting.
My job's easy. You guys have to explain. WTF is brutal death
Well,
metal.
let's
Right.
get to it. Help
Totally.
me out here, man. What are we even talking about? Let's set some ground rules on the overall sound and characteristics, defining characteristics of brutal death metal.
Well, I guess first would be vocals, inaudible vocals. We have, you have your typicals, you got your Morgoths, your Pestilence, and all that kind of such. But brutal death metal and that genre itself just took vocals to an inaudible area that you can't follow on lyric sheets or anything like that. So
Sure. So
Definitely.
a voice more as an instrument than a tool to deliver an
got
insightful
it.
passage.
you got it. Insightful passages, yes, of gore and blood and.
So we got that out of the way. Give me something more about perhaps the guitars, the instrumentation. Where are we
Chugs.
going there?
All about
Chugs.
the chug and breakdowns. It's that just out of whatever that palm mute, chug, 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 breakdown, cowbell, it all happens.
I think that's what they're called, the slam these days.
Slam.
Is the slam the defining characteristic for that, or?
Now, yeah, because people are starting to put that title to the genre. So slam breakdowns, they weren't called it then, but that's pretty much what it is.
It's the chug slam.
It's the chug slam. It totally is. As soon as that breakdown, that chug, 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 that's it. We're done.
And what about like drum-wise? Obviously, blast beats are
Blast beats.
generally accepted form of
Fast.
drumming all across
Even
death
faster,
metal.
more.
More?
Way more blasts.
More is more?
It totally is. Has to be. Well, because you got bands like Brodequin and stuff like that who are, defined gorgasm, and it's just blast beats all the time. Quick little breakdown, blast beat, blast beat, blast beat. And that's brutal. It's just brutal.
Extreme blasts.
Yep.
And lastly, on the topic of vocals, like what about lyrical content? Does it have to be especially gory, or where are we at with this genre? Sub-genre.
Of course, a lot of the brutal death metal is all, gore, horror, monsters, all that kind of such. So I would say yes, but it's not labeled just to that.
All right, so maybe we'll leave that out for now. What do you think? We got some good ground rules set here?
I think that's it.
It's just taking it to the next level. Brutal death metal. Let's get started. So I believe we start with picking a legend.
Yeah, so we're doing things a little bit differently this week, I said, because of the YouTube poll. So normally, Banger picks the legend and y'all have to live with it. Now we want your voice in this part of the show. So earlier this week, we put a poll up on the YouTube channel, and I think we're going to bring it up on the screen so that everyone can see what the results, what the people subscribe to our channel thought should be the legend. What do you guys think of this?
Wow, look, Cannibal Corpse is the overwhelming winner, obviously. So
Obviously, unfortunately.
well, why do you say unfortunately?
Well,
It's what the people want, man.
I know, but it's not right. Like, I understand Cannibal, they got the gore, they are heavy, brutal, but maybe Butchered at Birth, Tomb the Mutilated. After that, death metal. I'd say just death metal.
Just strictly in the vein of traditional.
Totally.
I don't disagree with you there, but it's Lockhorns. You got to give me something more than that. If you're going to kibosh on Cannibal Corpse, who would you put in their place?
Suffocation.
Is it that easy?
It's that easy.
It's that
I swear.
easy.
New York, again, Cannibal from New York. Love them. And, seen them a few times back in the day and now. But for brutal, I'd go right with Suffocation.
So,
Nope. Oh.
what's up?
Well, the chat mostly agrees with you, but it's going fast and furious. So to catch up, we're going to go to a clip for those of you that need to be reminded why Suffocation is the brutal death metal legend.
That is some serious brutality at the hands of Suffocation.
Right?
And
You hear the chugs, you hear the inaudible vocals.
it's all there.
it.
But let's talk a little bit about Cannibal Corpse first and see what everyone's saying. Bob Dole, thanks for joining us. I'm surprised with Cannibal Corpse having as many votes dispute their influence on brutal death metal. I see them as a straight death metal band. The Corpse Grinder era, definitely straight death metal. That's your homie there.
That's it. There it is.
Down Under 4, anyone picking Cannibal Corpse simply doesn't understand what separates brutal death metal from regular death metal. Well, that's exactly what we're trying to get to the bottom of today. Caleb Begley, I picked Cannibal because to me, there's really no difference between death metal and brutal death metal. Yeah, you can make the arguments for the differences between regular and tech death or regular and prog metal, or prog death, but in my opinion, death metal and brutal death metal are one and the same. Not so sure we got a fan of that.
You can't say that.
Whoremaster, welcome back. There's no chance in hell Cannibal Corpse is making this list. Like someone said before, they might have influenced, but at the end of the day, CC is simply death metal.
Yes, indeed.
I'm seeing a lot of people feeling that maybe Cannibal Corpse is a little comes perhaps before this new subgenre we're working on today.
Yes, totally.
So if that's the case, why don't you tell me why Suffocation is the undisputable legend?
Well, what is it? Effigy of the Forgotten comes out, and that pretty much changed the way people look at just regular death metal. Like, you know, they had Human Waste, an amazing album. The production, you know, obviously has its quirks, but as soon as Effigy came out, that chug just brought it to light. The vocals, everything about it, just I think changed. In New York itself, like Pyrexia and Malignancy, like you have your shirt right there.
Hell yeah!
Right from New York,
Yonkers.
Right? Yeah, man. So I don't know. I have to say Suffocation, man. They were the ones.
I feel like we're gonna have no shortage of love for them. The Romulan Warbird, Suffocation, Effigy of the Forgotten. Nothing else to add.
Yes.
Speaks for itself. Princess Scarlet, Suffocation, inventors of the slam riff. Brutal as fuck. It's two of our prereqs right there.
That's perfect.
Shrivstan Ragavan, Suffocation needs to be legend with Effigies of the Forgotten. They brought the semi-technical, ultra-groovy, chug-hungry New York death metal style to the forefront when the Tampa sound was all the vogue.
Yes, it's so true.
That's the kind of shit we're looking for.
Exactly.
The Glory Disappears, Suffocation. Cannibal Corpse only got the vote because they're popular. Effigy of the Forgotten was the first album I'd consider brutal death metal.
Yep.
Iota 4, I'm never really one to say something this non-negotiable, but Suffocation was the definitive first brutal death metal band, non-negotiable. Jessica Greer, Suffocation is the band that defines this style of death metal. How many Suffocation clones did it take to prove that? The answer, too many.
Everybody.
Everyone.
Everybody.
And Ninox 111, Suffocation reminds me of Fish. They're just terrible. Just throwing that one in.
It's called Lockhorns, guys. The show is called Lockhorns. Even
so much love for Suffocation. We just had to throw that around, throw that in at the end. So I see there's really not much discrepancy here. And I think the next thing we do, you get to double dip here because this is where we ask you to pick your guest choice, which I feel like you already got to do with the legend.
Right.
But now you get to pick another band undisputably that's going to end up on this subgenre family tree.
Right. So personally, I'm going as just from personal experiences myself. Brutal death metal, been a huge fan, like, you know, Mortician, love it all, right? But coming to Toronto, I remember they came in, let's see, here we are here. I don't remember the date.
He was there and he's got the paper to prove it.
I don't remember the date exactly, but they came to hear the Cathedral in Toronto, and this was the first time that I did see Deeds of Flesh on this tour with all these other amazing bands, and just bonded a major friendship with them after Trading Pieces, Path of the Weakening, and Inbreeding the Anthropophagy. I find those albums, to me, just blow everything out of the water, and that's just my band. That's, as soon as I put that in, they know me, I know them, and that's all I have to say. But it's Deeds of Flesh, Deeds of Flesh.
Well, there you have it, folks. Let's get that Deeds of Flesh magnet on the board, and for those of you who aren't familiar or just want to wreck your neck for a minute, let's check out this clip of Deeds of Flesh. Deeds of Flesh, undeniably fucking brutal.
Wow. Kill me. They kill me.
I think that what did it for me with this band on selling it as brutal is just that first track off Trading Pieces, or just opens with right there.
Right there.
Someone
That's
getting
it.
Disemboweled and then eaten alive. It's
And then blast beat, and then
it's all fucking
it's all downhill from there.
weapons hot from there, buddy. It's pretty badass.
Yeah,
And
man.
I don't know if there's a ton of love for Deeds of Flesh, but let's see what everyone's saying. Dallas Clark, add Deeds of Flesh. Francis Lefebvre, Deeds of Flesh equals yes. Luca Sotanowski, fuck yes, Deeds of Flesh. Vessel Bro, what does our guest think of Deeds of Flesh's current technical death metal approach?
That's why I mentioned the old albums. Their new stuff, I'm not a gigantic fan with the triggers and everything. I still love it and I still listen to it, but for something like that, I don't know, man. I almost have a hard time. It sucks. I hate to say it.
Asking the important questions here on Lock Horns.
You have to.
Lisa, where are we going next now that we got Deeds of Flesh up there?
Well, we got the legend, we got the guest choice. Now we have everything else. We've got 8 more spots, and it's up to the chat. So let's just take a look at that poll that we did and see what were the other bands that people really wanted us to talk about, potential other legends. I'm seeing Dying Fetus, I'm seeing Cryptopsy. Cam, what do you think about that?
I would say Dying Fetus, yes, they are an integral part of the slam, which we have gotten into. But I feel that Fetus, they brought those chugs, they brought the brutals, they brought those inaudible vocals once again. Couldn't follow a lyric for the life of me.
They're a close friend of The Hook as well.
Whoa.
They don't hate a good
Nope.
breakdown. They're
Nope.
an excellent fucking group.
Totally, right? Yeah, you can always tell, and then you'll remember it. You'll honestly be like, okay, oh, I remember that. I remember that. That's that song. Totally. I'm totally a big Fetus guy. I love the Fetus.
Please tell me this is the right magnet.
That is the right one.
That is the right magnet. We'll make sure we put it up the right way as well.
that's the right way,
right side up. It's my favorite part.
Totally. Especially with brutal death metal, their logos are just insane.
It's fucking
insane.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Perfectly symmetrical too, so you could easily fucking stick it on upside down. Lisa.
Let's go to the chat, DK.
We're going to the chat. Dying Fetus, R. Paris. Dying Fetus is the supreme leader in this genre. Progmaster 666. Dying Fetus perfected the modern breakdown. All the vocals are brutal as fuck, and the riffs are some of the best in brutal death metal. Jesse Solich. Dying Fetus, as the mainstays of the brutal tech death genre, the Fetus have been pummeling us with breakdowns and crazy technical wizardry for years. Their latest album was one of the best albums of 2017. I won't be surprised if Dying Fetus end up on here. Well, looks like you're going to get your wish, Jesse.
Badang.
Vincent, I consider Dying Fetus is that weird middle ground between tech death and grindcore. I do not see them as a full-blown brutal band. Ooh. Cam, what do you think about that?
I get the tech part. I mean, they do their
The tech
sweeps
is the
and all
that's
that.
part, and hella proficient at their instruments.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But they break down and they blast and they gurgle. I don't know. That's the three.
That's the three
points right there.
And I think in brutal death metal, we can't be afraid of a little bit of that grind influence.
No.
Just because they bring a grindy riff to the table doesn't mean they get labeled as a grindcore band. By no means at all.
Not at all.
Glad we're still on the same page as that. Other bands on the poll, I think Cryptopsy was
right there. I would say this is their second demo, Blasphemy Made Flesh. And None So Vile, which is, big on the huge list of everybody's brutal death metal albums usually. None So Vile just cleaned house, really.
A little bit of Canadian pride there.
It was unbelievable.
Cryptopsy up on the board.
When I first got the demos, man, it was amazing. It changed the way death metal was. It was so fast. The vocals were gross. Like Lord Worm's vocals were like nothing.
And I feel like you're going to have a lot of people agreeing with you on that. To the board, AGT. None So Vile is very influential album to the genre. Crushing riffs, unique vocals, and tormenting drums. Overall, Cryptopsy definitely needs more recognition in the genre and metal scene. Progmaster 666. The defining brutal death metal vocal style has to go Lord Worm. Sure, Chris Barnes and Frank Mullen have their signature guttural growls, but Lord Worm took it to a point that didn't sound human. The vocals on None So Vile sound like a hungry junkyard dog ready to eat you alive.
Wow.
Fucking
brutal.
Vivid.
Yeah.
Ben, Suffocation and Barnes era Cannibal Corpse started the sound, and Cryptopsy took it to the next level.
Like, but right away though, like as soon as those albums came out, Cryptopsy had Ungentile, and it just changed.
They were hella prepared.
They totally were.
The answer was ready.
Yes.
Compaya. I listened to None So Vile last night. I summed the experience up as every song is a fucking nuke. Amazing stuff.
Totally. Flo
Mounier,
the drummer. There was nobody like that doing that style of blast beats then, especially then.
One of the most critically acclaimed technical drummers in
death metal
history. And the metal world in general.
Big time.
Incredible.
Oh, unbelievable.
So definitely a lot of love for Cryptopsy. I don't think anyone is disagreeing with that.
Early stuff, I would say.
Early Cryptopsy.
Their new stuff is awesome. It's tech. It's still brutal, but the first 3 albums with Lord Worm, just demo albums.
There can be no other.
Yeah,
absolutely. Moving on, I'm sure we got to get some more bands on the list here.
There's a bit of a debate going on about bands like Aborted and bands like Nile. I'm going to let that keep going until we get a little bit more of a consensus.
Cool.
But one of the bands that's come up quite a bit, we're going to go to a clip from Devourment now.
Devourment. Fucking crushing, dude.
Molesting the Decapitated. That album changed. It turned that I would say is the defining slam moment there.
Game fucking changer.
It totally is.
Ernie Malbouf. Devourment was my first brutal death metal band. They had a good foundation in their songwriting that was groovy or slam, and you could follow even if the vocals were ultra low and guttural. They also introduced me to brutal death metal record labels like Severed Records.
Out of Rochester.
Hell
Great
yeah.
dude.
A lot of love for New York, man.
Oh, again.
Aussie Rules. The first band I think of when I think of brutal death metal is Devourment. Great band live, and it totally fits the mold of brutal death metal.
Wow.
Metalhead Nation 1021. Devourment slams like nobody else. They were an innovator of slam, one of the most brutal sub-genres. Put them on. Are we starting a slam subgenre branch?
Because that's what happens, right? I mean, obviously it started out brutal death metal, but people just kept taking that groove to another level, and then all of a sudden, slam. We slam. I don't know. Devourment. Slam.
Well, what do you think? Do they belong in? Where is their influence, though?
I will say still brutal death metal because slam wasn't even really a genre at that time yet. It was still being, formed, and bands were starting to figure it out.
And is slam in itself its own genre, or is it a characteristic of the brutal death metal subgenre?
I would say it's a subgenre now.
It's happening.
It's getting
It's
there.
all happening.
It totally is. Well, because you have Slam Worldwide, and they promote slam bands exclusively. Every day they're posting something about a new slam band.
Not a tech death riff in sight.
No, really. No, honestly though, there's a couple that squeezed in there, but every band chug. Hey, and I got no problems with that really.
It's like that palm muted chugging and the drums fucking match every stroke. Yeah. Those short riffs and then fucking repeat. Oh, dude.
That's it. It gets you going. Gets the pits going, right?
I'm getting excited.
I'm just made a poll on the Banger TV YouTube page. I'm putting the link in the chat. If you think that Devourment belongs in brutal death metal, or if you think that we should save them for the slam chart, you can vote in the poll, and that'll help us decide at the end of the show.
What a time to be alive.
Wow.
This is incredible.
Wow.
Lockhorns 2.0, guys.
Holy
3.0.
cow.
We are live polling and expanding this tree.
As we go.
As we go live.
You guys are awesome on here. This is wicked. Killer.
This is incredible.
Totally.
So
What do
while
you
we
got?
sit on that poll, we're
Yep.
going to come back to the whole slam thing. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm not done chunk-a-lunking yet.
Nope.
Let's talk about other bands we're going to get up on the board. Disgorge, anyone?
Oh yeah. What do we got here? Chile Gutted. They're on Unique Leader Records. Which
is their record label.
Which is Deeds of Flesh record label, right?
Right.
And again, these guys are taking it to whole new levels, but they're so good at it.
And
they're
fully,
amazing.
fully involved in the brutal death metal scene too.
Totally.
With having a label with an exclusive focus on the brutal subgenre.
And funny, the singer now is Angel from Cephalotripsy, and that's a slam band that needs to be brought up again with the brutal slam and all that. So.
Well, I'm sure we have a Disgorge magnet we can stick up on the board here.
We do. I'll give it to you as long as you read the comments.
As long as I read.
As long as I read.
Satan West, Disgorge fits the definition of brutal death metal. Influential, brought the genre to other countries like Indonesia.
Oh, there we are.
There you go,
There's
buddy.
a whole nother
That's
topic.
your segue.
Yeah.
Brandon, Disgorge took the slam sound that Devourment helped codify and took it to the 9th degree. After Disgorge, you heard lots of bands coming out of Southern California with that ultra guttural style. Disgorge also took the brutal death metal vocal and made it absolutely disgusting, like a chain smoker gurgling in their own blood and mucus.
Yes, especially Maddie on that album. And not saying nothing against you, Angel, but that album, though, Maddie, which is now singing in Pathology, is another big one there. Vocals are just. I can't do it.
Apparently, we need some clarification on which Disgorge.
Okay,
There's a few.
There's a Mexican
We're talking about
Disgorge.
the American Disgorge.
The American
of course,
Disgorge, yes. There's the Mexican, which is grind, a little bit of grind in there, but brutal death metal. But we're talking about the American here.
I guess I should have put the logo up before we started talking about it, because then they would have all known.
Totally.
True. Yeah, American Disgorge all the way. We're talking brutal death metal today.
Well, we're also, everyone's kind of like a bit of a love fest, and no one's really arguing what's wrong with you people. It's called Lockhorns.
Right.
But I have found a few arguments about whether or not to include aborted. So let's talk about that and try and see if we can get some.
Right.
on the
Aborted,
chat.
which would be our first international band on the list.
Right.
Let's see what's going on with that. Nikki Goods for Aborted. Although they came later in the pantheon of what we now know as brutal death metal, they encompass all the genre has to offer. Building upon very competent grindcore values, Aborted then topples the stone wall with their patented slams. Aborted is a fresh new band compared to the other groups listed in this poll, but let's not forget the genre of death metal is also still a fresh new label. Very valid point there. Antonio Diaz, Aborted are amazing, especially live, but their grind influences cannot be ignored.
True. Yep.
Bad Hair Day. Problem with Aborted is that many see them as death grind, not as brutal death metal. I think this is really a difficult one.
Right.
Is that a difficult line for you to draw?
Yeah, obviously, Aborted signed, what are they, Nuclear Blast, I believe, and, they get huge praise because they're always playing these brutal festivals. But like you said, they have a grind line in there too.
Right.
Do you add? I don't know. Obviously, we're still gonna start genre crossing again. I don't think so.
I think we've established, though, that the grind sound is almost a little bit vital to the brutal sound overall. You do need to have that grindy approach to the riff to a degree.
Right.
I think really it's just about being more extreme than the next, and I think grindcore was always just trying to be more extreme than the next.
Totally.
They're like long lost cousins, perhaps, the two genres.
Pretty much. Yeah, gore grind especially, right?
Gore grind especially. So
I don't know.
Definitely some love for Aborted, but maybe we're not sure. But maybe we're gonna leave it right there for now.
Hey, let's do it.
If that's cool with all y'all, we're just gonna leave it right there.
Yeah.
There's got to be some other bands that we're trying to add to this list right now. Lisa, what's going on in the chat?
Always more bands. People still want to talk about Nile, but they just say, Nile? I need something. Tell us why or why not for Nile.
Don't just tell us why Calliope
people want
is the best drummer
Skinless
in the
in all
world.
caps. Skinless in all caps I'm seeing a lot of, but not why. So
articulate those arguments for us,
we
please.
need to know the whys. I'm like a 2-year-old. Why this? Why that? That's what I want, guys. Just make my 2-year-old brain happy. Cam, what do you think? Something missing yet?
We're doing a pretty hella bang-up job so far here.
The scene itself is just—it's insane. It's hard to pinpoint on who it would be part of this list also to include. I mean, like I said, we have Disgorge, we have Brodequin from Texas. There's another band that's really pushing the limits out there, and do we get into the slam? Do we it keeps kind of unfortunately being tagged a little bit with slam all the time too. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's tough. Are we going to start naming some more bands? Do we want to just throw some more into the pot, or is that what we're doing here?
Are we going to touch on Nile at all? I see it's obviously getting a lot of love in the chats. People are just screaming out Nile. What's your take on Nile as a brutal death band?
They are brutal and they are death metal. Is it because they don't have the gore lyrics and that imagery and all that? But they still that's a tough one. It's a weird line because they don't have the chugs, but they have everything else.
Well, I think that with Nile, the extremity in their sound really comes from the nature of their speed and technicality.
Oh my gosh.
So how important does that speed thing play into being brutal? Is everything faster than everything else? Is that quantify you as brutal?
I find brutal death metal to me is the quintessential, that New York sound.
Right.
Slams, the chugs, yeah, totally, and the vocals, right? That's to me that's brutal death metal.
So Nile, for you, we're leaving that in the tech death episode?
I would say so.
All right, we like where it is. Let's see what everyone else is saying. Voxel Mitosis, Nile, amongst the catacombs of Nephron Ka is 1998 album is brutal death metal.
So heavy.
But later on, they went way more tech, in my opinion. I don't think anyone will disagree with you. Larby, who, ma'am, no Nile, it's just super melodic. Alejo Klon, Nile is more tech death with all the sound exploration, but they have strayed away from the brutal ways. Vessel, Nile don't belong here, no breakdowns at all.
Right. That's how I feel.
You're on the same page as all these people right here.
Again, they're super heavy, and Nephron Ka, that album just was unbelievable. But to put in brutal death metal, no.
To tie it up, Professor Sludge, Nile is way too tech to be brutal. Don't let that speed fool ya.
Yeah.
I say we leave it there. We're leaving Nile in the tech death episode.
You got it.
Hell yeah. Moving on. Let's get some more bands on this list, man.
All right, we're gonna get to the new band shortly. We got few things on Skinless to talk about first.
Right.
Skinless. What's your take on Skinless right off the bat?
When I first heard Progression Towards Evil, that album again brought that brutal. I heard Devourment and Skinless at the same time. And just these two bands, I had to tell everybody, these specifically, what this was. It was just like, look at these breakdowns, look at this blast, look at these vocals. And Skinless to me, I find, is totally brutal death metal.
So that's
what I say.
Let's see what the rest of the world is saying.
It's a good thing we have a magnet.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hell yeah! Look at that.
Nice.
Super prepared here in the Banger Hangar, folks.
Well, we try to be. I got some shit from someone who didn't like the version of the Dying Fetus logo that we printed. So sorry.
That's the original.
That is the logo.
That's the original.
You can't win here on Lockhorn.
Oh my gosh. What is up with that? We're talking about brutal death metal and you're worried about the logo.
Much like real life, on Lockhorns you can't win.
No, never.
Bad Hair Day. Skinless have everything that makes the genre like they have checked even the last bit of cliche on a list.
Ooh.
Music professors. Skinless is a modern suffocation and they mix up BDM and slam. Chips 96. Skinless because Trample the Weak, Hurtle the Dead is a masterpiece of brutal death metal. Rick Topsy. Skinless belongs, but Mortician came before them. Interesting.
Right. Huge Mortician fan. I mean, Mortal Massacre is what got me hooked at the beginning. And there's nothing technical about it. There's no slams or anything, but they're deemed the heaviest band in the world, pretty much.
Right.
So Again, I would put Mortician up there too. Brutal death metal.
You want to write that one?
That's-
in, DK,
I think
with a
that's-
question mark.
It's kind of a different style of music, but it's still brutal death metal.
If you weren't going to put it on this chart, where would you put it?
Oh, I would-
that's you use the reverse logic too,
exactly.
right?
Good point. That's a good point. Mortician, definitely up there.
Yeah, it's on your fucking shirt. Why didn't you mention that to start with?
Well, because I was waiting for you guys to do that.
Always having fun.
Hey, man, totally. Again, it's the New York scene, right?
Last on Skinless, I think. Skinless from Sacrifice to Survival is pure punishment from start to finish. Super buzzy rhythm and pounding chug. Low on technique, but big on bangers.
Exactly. You
Summed
don't
it
have
up
to
pretty-
think about it. It
Summed
just
it up
happens.
pretty nicely. Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
We have got. Can I count? Is there 10?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10. With including the couple maybes, we're looking at 10 right now.
All right, it's time to do the other new thing on Lock Horns, which is pick a new band to be included as voted by y'all. And so I'm
Whoa.
going to type that poll URL in the chat. Again, please go there if you haven't voted already and pick one of the bands that you would like to see from the last 5 to 10 years on the chart. And while you do that, we're going to play a clip from one that did get some nomination, which is Disentomb. We'll be right back.
Disentomb, and we are back. What
Back.
do you think? That they are fucking awesome. dude.
Disentomb are sick. Their Misery album on New Standard Elite, another amazing label that puts out the best brutal death metal nowadays. Disentomb, I swear, front to back, it's just plain brutal. It's got the slams, the chugs, but it's groovy and it's, I don't know, it's brutal, but it's audible. It's I don't know, it's different, and I love it.
It's nice to be able to make sense of music sometimes,
It
as
is, though.
opposed to, I find, in some of the extreme genres, part of what quantifies it as brutal is the discomfort it gives you while you listen to it,
like-
trying to put it all together.
Yeah, it's
the abrupt
sometimes-
tempo changes,
Yep.
and yeah.
And Brodequin especially, like there's some albums where there is so much going on, I don't even know what's going on.
Don't even know where to fucking
I don't even know where to go,
listen.
but I love it though.
Those shows make for the best pits too.
Oh, well, yeah, exactly. What are we doing? I don't know. It's
Don't
just
know.
brutal.
Just keep slamming, baby. So Disentomb, are we gonna put that up?
No, we
we're
gotta wait for the poll.
We're gonna
to
wait
come
for the
in.
poll on the
poll's
new
still
bands.
going, right?
I want to get Cam's take on some of the newer bands that have been brought up in the chat.
Right.
So we got in the chat talking about Wormed.
Yeah.
Andres says Wormed must be added. They add so many new elements to the genre. Rhythm-wise, the time signatures are constantly changing. They use atonal chords to create atmosphere, and their lyrics are usually sung from the perspective of the last human being on the universe. They definitely are the most unique band in the genre.
Right.
Matthew Verdon, Wormed is definitely a head trip. Cybernetic, technical, brutal death metal. We're keeping track of these new
Right?
genres we're
Totally,
creating.
man. That's what I mean.
They're their own fucking roots in this old oak tree that is the family tree. What's your take on Worms?
They are deadly, man. I'm not hugely familiar on them, just like because there's a million bands out there, right?
Right.
I'm trying to keep track, but just from checking what they've had right now, they totally are in the brutal death metal scene. They just don't have that imagery and what everybody comes to expect from the brutal.
Right.
Right. But honestly, though, they got the slams, they got the blast beats, the vocals are insane. Well, people are saying Wormed, right? I mean, it's obviously coming up like crazy.
Sounds like I owe it to myself to get
into it more.
To get cranked after this and crank some cybernetic brutal death metal. Check out a Wormed record after
All right,
this.
I am about to close that poll, and we
Lisa's
see
cutting
here,
in.
we can see here, Cam. You can see on my screen that the winner for the spot on newer band was not Wormed,
Yep.
or Pissgrave, or Disentombed. It was Abominable
Putridity.
From
with
Russia.
36% of the votes. What do you think about that?
Yes. I would put that there because, again, they got the blasts, they got the chugs, and the vocals are just absolutely insane. They were the MySpace. They came up big on MySpace or whatever back in the day, and they've just kept that flow, and people love them. But they're like, sure, I'll put them in the brutal death metal, but they're definitely part of the slam also. But I would say it's almost like that band was the start of the next topic.
It's the segue into
totally
what will
is.
be our eventual slam.
Yep, because there's more slam in that than anything.
Let's go to the board on Abominable Putridity before we get back to more on slam. I think Abominable Putridity won because no one here expected BangerTV to do a slam episode.
Hey,
Can't escape the slam no matter what
seriously,
we do.
man.
Metalhead Nation, Abominable Putridity mixed slams with technicality with pure brutal death metal with a clean production. They are worthy.
I say.
That's why we got him up right there.
Bam.
Definitely got more. Brandon Freeman, Abominable Putridity is generic as fuck.
I get it because it.
We hear your cries.
Breakdown. I get it. Still brutal. You can't dismiss that, and the impact they have on the scene themselves.
This is true, and I mean, if you're gonna shoot them down as a new band, at least have another new band come at us with a different suggestion. Then,
right?
On slam, Tim McCollum, brutal death metal and slam are not the same thing. Devourment and AP are slam.
Yes, they started the slam.
Right, it's the segue.
It is.
The segue to slam.
But they are brutal death metal because that's where it started. It didn't start slam. It started brutal death metal.
I wonder where we stand on our poll with if Devourment's on the board or we're saving it for the slam episode.
Oh boy.
I'm sure that's going to be an interesting outcome.
Right, totally.
Are there any other new bands that I'm forgetting or that I've never heard of that you think are kind of waving the brutal death metal flag that really needs some recognition?
Well, Defeated Sanity.
Okay.
Let's go with those guys. They've actually been touring a lot. They've been doing Summer Slaughters and with like Decrepit Birth, all that kind of stuff, right? And there's another whole thing. Can you put Decrepit Birth with brutal death metal? Right. But again, they're technical. But I think Defeated Sanity is another big one that's really hitting the road and getting out to everybody. And they're just people are loving them.
Defeated Sanity. I don't think you're the only one showing some love. We got Josh Snover. Defeated Sanity needs to be up on the board. A complete maelstrom of foul riffs, blasts, and sewer gutturals. Give them their due.
Totally.
Vincent Lepore. For fuck's sake, Broken Hope, Swamped in Gore came out before a majority of the bands on here.
Sorry,
and would you look at that?
It's not Swamped in Gore, but it's Bowels of Repugnance. I don't know if we can get that in there or whatever. But yeah, definitely Broken Hope. Definitely Broken Hope have a part in brutal death metal for sure, especially with this. Like their stuff is, it's brutal.
So Defeated Sanity or Broken Hope?
Broken Hope's been around longer.
Put that all aside for a minute.
I know, it's so tough.
What fits more with the essence that is pure brutal death metal? What meets our criteria?
Right. Defeated Sanity.
Defeated Sanity. I'm throwing it up there for you, man.
Freaking right. They do. They definitely are a very hard-working band. Constantly putting out perfect albums out, and like I said, they're touring like crazy, man. You always have a chance to see these guys. It's crazy.
Lisa.
We are at that time in the show where it's like going to be the lightning round shortly, so I'm going to just check in with the polls to see the final results from the live chat. But here's a question for Cam. Let's see what you have to say on this topic.
Can the entire country, or is it Jay?
Oh, we're talking Indonesia now.
Right.
Yeah. Can the entire country of Indonesia be the write-in?
Yes.
Johans, greeting from Indonesia. It's hard to pick the essential bands in this genre since there are a lot of great bands, but for me there's Suffocation, Disgorged, Dying Fetus, Cannibal Corpse. I also want to mention Jasad, Siksakubur, and Death Vomit because they're very influential in Indonesian death metal scene.
Big time.
Cam, what's going on in Indonesia, dude?
Holy cow, they are losing their shit over brutal death metal. Festivals, people in the droves. You even seen it too.
It's insane how many people they put at a 500 band festival outside in the middle of a field.
And 100,000 people are coming out to
insane.
see brutal death metal. Like a bunch of those bands that you already did mention, Injury Deepen, Guttural Disease, Perverted Dexterity. Like these bands are, they're brutal. And Indonesia is leading the pack, I would say.
So is it fair to make an analysis that while the genre has deep roots in America, looking forward to the future and the state of affairs for brutal death metal, we're looking at an Indonesian leading?
It's going out there.
They're flying the flag, burning the torch,
pretty
so to
much.
speak.
Yeah, they're definitely going big with the festivals. I mean, we're getting some great festivals here. We got Chicago Domination. That's totally like another 3-day, 600 band fest. Las Vegas Death Fest, brutal death metal all the way from Devourment, and everybody's guttural secretes on there. But Indonesia, man, they're losing it, and the whole country's losing it.
That's crazy.
Oh, beautiful.
Brutal death metal in Indonesia. Who knew that? That's
honestly
the next thing.
Right.
The new wave of Indonesian brutal death metal.
Could be a whole other show we're talking about that, right?
That'll be after our slam episode, though, right?
Yeah, the sub.
That's what we do here at Lockhorns, man.
Holy cow. Just keeps going.
This is the world's fucking largest tree. I've been to redwoods. I've seen some really big fucking trees. This family tree, though, this thing just keeps growing. Lisa.
Hey.
Some results. I tried to make a new poll. It's not working out technically, so I'll just try to do my best to read your chat. But certainly on the question of devourment being included in brutal death versus slam, it was 66% majority for keeping them on this chart.
Yes.
So devourment stays.
Good.
That's a victory.
It is.
For brutality on a large scale.
And I believe that the one band that's getting the most last-minute push really is Broken Hope.
Right.
Broken Hope. Didn't I ask you to pick between Defeated Sanity and Broken Hope?
Yes. Well, then put in Broken Hope, because obviously everybody else, like I said, man, I'm kind of going on my personals too, but Broken Hope, they had a huge impact on brutal death metal. Obviously, Swamped in Gore was an amazing album, so there you go.
That's so. Are we gonna try and pick 10 from here? There's not a ton of
you pissed off people there, eh?
Where?
Defeated Sanity.
Yeah.
Oh.
We left it up to the polls
Totally.
and the people speak, and that's what this is all about, is you guys getting your word in.
Yeah, man.
So, I mean, we're just going to nerd out forever and be very agreeable Canadians. You guys have the job of screaming at us, and Lisa gets to read it all.
Yeah, definitely.
Are we going to try and narrow this down to 10 bands? What do we have here right now? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe 12.
Yeah. Are we allowed to keep going?
No, but I just tried to make it a little easier. I just added a new poll. I'm cutting and pasting it into the chart, so look for it.
Awesome.
There's a URL if you haven't been there yet. These are the bands that are possibly going to be included or chopped. Broken Hope, Defeated Sanity, Infernal Bleeding, and Aborted. Those are the question marks.
Internal bleeding.
Typo, guys.
Internal
typo.
bleeding.
It's all good.
We have a magnet for it.
It's okay. So we're going to be seeing internal bleeding later in February, which we'll get to later.
Nice.
But the poll is up there. Click on it. Tell us which of the bands in question are going to make this final cut, because we are in the lightning round. We've got to wrap shit up. This is it. It's all happening now, man.
Right now.
This is real life. This is it.
It's real life.
I don't even know what to do here right now.
Right?
Here, check the poll. What do you think?
We're refreshing this
keep
live
going,
as we
right?
go.
Oh, wow.
Right now, I'm seeing the most love for Broken Hope, but it's hella close. And it's actually surprising, because Aborted is the band that's in second place. So this is your last chance to get your votes in. We're refreshing this poll live.
Wow.
Help us make the cut.
This is it, eh? The last 4 that we're figuring out, eh?
Yeah, this is crazy.
Wow.
This is...
Okay, there you go, guys. Poll's closed.
Polls
Oh,
closed
that's it.
with an overwhelming victory at 38% of the votes.
For Broken Hope.
Broken Hope is the ding, ding, ding winner.
Wow.
So
Okay.
Broken Hope stays.
I'll give it to him. Totally, man.
Broken Hope stays. Does that mean that we get rid of all the others? Does that mean Aborted is not happening? Is that how we're
You gotta
playing
pick.
this out?
You gotta pick 10.
Gotta pick 10.
Take Aborted
2,
out.
4, 6, 8, 9. Yeah, take aborted out.
And defeated.
Leave Mortician.
Yep.
Leave Mortician. Defeated Sanity's already out.
Yep.
That's 10, isn't it? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
That's it. Okay.
That's
Wow.
that.
That's all, eh?
That's all she wrote.
Cool.
Lisa.
How'd we do? Guys, you're going to tell us in the comments. I know you are.
No, you're
How do
gonna,
you feel,
you're gonna
Cam?
tell us in the poll. We're doing another poll. How did we do? Banger TV,
Right.
2018, the year of polls. Thanks. Thanks for
Yeah, I like that.
the year of polls and more slam metal episodes to come.
That was awesome.
That was
that
cool
was
as
a blast,
fuck,
man. Thank you.
That was super rad. We're done.
Is that it?
That's it for today, but we're going to be back, right?
We're coming back eventually in a couple weeks because we're taking this little vacation. We're flying out to Miami and we're going to get on this boat called 70,000 Tons of Metal. There's a shitload of awesome fucking bands playing.
A lot of death metal on this.
A lot of fucking death metal, a lot of black metal, a lot of symphonic shit.
Yeah.
Stuff that I never get to see here. Banger's going to be there. We're going to be talking to bands, talking to you, hanging out, slamming out, dancing, doing other things.
Wrecking necks.
My mom's watching. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. But
hey.
we'll be back after that sometime in February. And what's the episode we're doing when we come back?
We're doing your number one choice for the next genre on the Metal Family Tree, according
Wow.
to our poll system, which is atmospheric black metal. We're going to have Sam in here and Blaine Smith. And watch out for that episode coming at you in February when we get back. If we get back alive.
She
from the
just
ship.
slid in that it'll be Sam, so you guys don't have to deal with me for another week. But
Aw.
thanks for hanging. It's been fun.
You were fun.
Dude, you were fun.
Hey, thanks.
Let's do this again. See you later, guys.